Good afternoon everyone, welcome back to TechNuovo. My name's Steph and today we're taking a look at the AOC G2590VXQ gaming monitor. So AOC are generally known for their budget monitors for PC and it's no different here. This is a very cheap gaming monitor that's available, I would say, for around £200 that we found it online, maybe slightly less if you can find it on sale. But it does really have everything that you would expect from a gaming monitor, like a 1 millisecond pixel response time, a 75Hz refresh rate, and it also has a TN panel as well, which, okay, it's not quite as new and it's not quite as fancy as something like IPS or even OLED now on some screens. TN really does rise above other technologies when it does come to gaming performance. So the biggest downfall with the monitor being a TN panel is that it's really just a one-trick pony. This is really aimed at gaming and gaming alone. Now, TN panels are very much known for their higher response times and they're also a lot brighter than IPS panels as well, so things do show up on screen a lot clearer. However, if you did have an IPS panel, then you would have a much better color reproduction, so colors would be a lot more vivid, there'd be a lot more detail in the blacks and the white colors, and also the viewing angles are a lot wider as well, so it could really suit more than just gaming. So if you are looking at anything else like photo editing, video editing, then you'd probably want to go for something like an IPS panel over a TN panel. But if it's just purely gaming, then there's nothing wrong with a TN panel at all. So if you take a look at the actual aesthetics of this particular monitor, it's a very clean design. And AOC are calling the edge their three-sided display, which basically means that it's pretty much bevel-less around the sides and across the top as well. Now the only thick bezel you've got is this red strip at the bottom, which some of you may like. It's really down to personal choice on whether you like this actual red strip sticking out from the display or you'd prefer it to be an all-black screen. I actually quite like it. I think it adds a bit of character and a bit of flavour to the actual monitor rather than just being purely black and glossy all the way around. I think it just adds a little bit of funkiness to the actual monitor and it looks really good when on a desk. So I think another nice area of the actual aesthetic is the fact that the actual stand is very small. It's a very small disc shape with one arm coming up the back of the actual monitor itself. And I think that is really advantageous. If you're running in kind of a small area, this will take up very little real estate on your desk, so you can put things underneath the monitor, like a set of small speakers, for example, if you want to go that route, or some kind of mobile phone stand. Maybe you've got enough room under here to fit something, even models like Funko Pop models or something like that. Fit them under the screen, it will look nice on your desk, and the actual stand is very small. And everything is just really solid as well. It's not going to go anywhere if you do end up knocking into it either. So on the back of the actual monitor, you have several inputs to get this working. You have two HDMI inputs. So if you're hooking up a PC and maybe an Xbox, for example, into the same monitor, you can switch between the two. There's also one display port as well if you're running display port from your graphics card, just for that higher picture quality. On the back, you've also got a VGA input, which is a very old input now, but still probably used somewhere in the world, so they've got one on there. And they've also got an audio jack as well, so if you run a 3.5mm auxiliary cable from your PC to the monitor, you can have some sound coming out of the speakers. The sound isn't great, it's very tinny, but you have got the feature there. If you haven't got your own set of speakers, separate set of speakers on the desk, I wouldn't recommend using it. If you're gaming anyway, you're probably going to have some kind of gaming headset to use with the PC and while you're playing games, so the speakers are a bit redundant. But it's nice to know that it is there if you do want to really have a bit of room sound. So all your cables will fit into this hole. I'm not sure if you can see it from the camera that side, but there's all on the back here. You've got a hole where you can feed the cables through to get a nice cable trail coming through onto down the back of your desk. And it just makes everything look a little bit neater. There's no cables coming out at multiple places on the back of the monitor. They'll all come out through this kind of like cable tidy hole there. So you're not going to get any kind of mess and you can keep things nice and tidy that way. Now the actual stand itself is fixed and solid in position. The only movement you have got is a tilt up and down, and that depends on how high the monitor is in front of you. The stand doesn't physically move up and down. That is a locked position. And it doesn't swivel either, so you have to physically move the base if you want to get that screen on an angle in the corner of a room, for example. You're not going to get anything else moving on that monitor except that tilt up and down. And it doesn't actually tilt down very far, so you can't put the monitor above you and tilt it down, but you can put the monitor below you and tilt it up so you can sit slightly above the monitor if you want. Now bearing in mind it is a TN panel, so you have to be dead on to the screen really to get the most out of it. Because those viewing angles just aren't very good on this monitor at all. So when controlling the actual features of the monitor, they are all controlled from a little analog stick that you'll find on the back corner, back right hand side corner, which will control things that you would find on a monitor anyway, like the sharpness, the contrast, gamma, brightness. You'd find all of those there. There are also as well something called gaming profiles, which there are some preset gaming profiles on there for first-person shooters, for real-time strategies, and racing as well. So you can, every time you play a different genre of game, you can change the picture profile just to squeeze out a little bit more from this monitor. I did find myself leaving it on the first-person shooter preset mode, just simply because it looked the best. The colors were the most vivid and the most saturated on that, and I think that made the games I played look really, really nice. I didn't really put it on the racing mode or the real-time strategy mode, especially real-time strategy, as it just really made this monitor super bright for some strange reason. I don't know why, but I never really messed around with the gaming presets apart from first-person shooter. There are also a way of customizing your own gaming presets, so if you find you like the racing one, but you want to change something slightly, then go ahead, you can do that. And then you can save it to one of the custom profiles on the actual monitor, so you have got the ability to really customize the experience to how you would like it and to the sort of games that you play as well. Now, there's also a feature when it comes to picture profiles called AOC's Shadow Control, which basically makes shadowy areas of a particular game a lot more brighter, so you can get a lot more detail out of those areas. It's not quite the same as having HDR, for example, or even an IPS monitor, but it does boost those shadows quite considerably just to get as much detail from those darker areas. Again, that's done on a slider, so you can control how much shadow control the monitor takes over for you. So if you want to play something that's really, really dark and keep it that way, you can. Or if you want a little bit more detail in your pictures, then you can adjust that slider to really how you want. So one thing the monitor does come with is AMD's Freesync technology. Now, unfortunately, this will only work on AMD graphics cards, but what it means is that it synchronizes the refresh rate of your graphics card to the refresh rate of the monitor to reduce things like screen tearing and to just give your games really a more smooth overall kind of appearance. Now, unfortunately, as I said, that only does work with AMD graphics cards. We were playing with an Nvidia GTX 980 Ti when we were testing out this monitor, and yes, we were still getting very, very nice refresh rates, so we didn't actually come around to testing the FreeSync on the actual monitor, but we were still taking advantage of that 75Hz refresh rate anyway, and our games were looking nice and smooth. I couldn't really complain about how the games were looking on the actual monitor, but I'm now sitting here wondering what AMD FreeSync would actually look like. I never really noticed any screen tearing when I was playing games on this monitor, so I don't know really the advantage of AMD FreeSync technology over not having it and using an Nvidia graphics card. I don't really know, so we can test it, but AOC claim that it produces a much smoother gaming experience for you. And being a budget monitor, I'm pretty sure that there would be more people using AMD graphics cards if they are sticking to a budget, as GeForce graphics cards now are horribly off the scale in terms of price. AMD, you could still pick up sort of a mid-range toward higher-end card relatively cheap, which will come with the FreeSync technology. So this is where the budgetness is really appealing if you're going for that budget graphics card as well with AMD. You also still get to take advantage of the 1 millisecond pixel response time, which greatly improves refresh rates and making your games look smooth enough anyway. So even when you are playing with a GeForce graphics card, you're still going to have a relatively good experience. As I say, I never noticed any screen tearing. Playing games like Doom, for example, was super duper smooth. I really didn't notice any kind of lag or pixel lag or anything like that at all. But that only really works when you are playing fast games. Now, when I switched over to Sea of Thieves, for example, that game is a lot more slow, and it's really designed to look good rather than play super fast like Doom is. You're not really hopping from one side of the map to the other like you are in Doom. So that's where this monitor falls down a little bit, because the color reproduction isn't as strong as an IPS display. You've really got to make a judgment on what type of games you are playing before going for this monitor. So I don't know, Dota 2, League of Legends, they're very quick games. Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, that is a very, very quick game. Doom, again, is very, very quick. But if you are playing Sea of Thieves or slower first-person shooters or adventure titles, then having this monitor over sort of a mid-range IPS display is really a no-brainer what to go for, because the better colors from an IPS monitor will look certainly better on actual slow-moving video games. At the end of the day, I think this monitor is really aimed at hardcore gamers among us. It's not aimed at those casual gamers that want to pick up and go. Definitely go for an IPS if you are one of those, but if you are going to be playing some very fast-paced, more like MLG kind of titles, then yeah, this is an absolutely cracking budget gaming monitor that you could actually go for. Overwatch is another game that's relatively quick that looked really good on this. Whereas if you are losing that refresh rate, then I mean, when you are playing something like Counter-Strike, for example, it seems like every single pixel counts when you've got the enemy team right across the map. You're going to want to get headshots every time. Easiest way to take out an opponent. So you've got to really, that pixel response time is crucial when you're making those quick snap decisions on where to fire on the screen. And this monitor was absolutely wicked at doing that. I mean, I'm not very good at Counter-Strike, so it didn't really improve my game and my performance in terms of me as a player, but it looked good. It was super smooth. It played really well. And as long as you sit in front of the actual monitor itself, then you're not going to worry about the viewing angles being a problem. If you are, however, sitting off to the side, then you will start getting that kind of ghosting effect that you would normally see on sort of a cheaper laptop screen. You know, you have to sit dead onto the screen to be able to see anything. So if you're one of these gamers that want to get involved in very fast-paced competition, and you've got a really conscious-minded budget, then this is definitely a monitor that you should check out. As I say, this is the AOC G2590VXQ. I will leave a link in the description below so you can go and buy it and check it out for yourselves. Thank you very much for checking out our video review of the AOC G2590VXQ. If you enjoyed the video, then do click that like button. Please do subscribe to keep up with all of our latest tech and gaming videos, and also let us know in the description what you thought about this monitor, whether you would go for something like this on a budget, or you would go for maybe one of the Reproduction gamer monitors or any other gaming monitor on the market, and whether you're a TN fan or an IPS fan. That's always a nice kind of conversation to spark up. As I say, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.